welcome to Children of the Light live stream in Tokyo Game Show.
Yay!
In this stream, you will be meeting the localization team talking about the localization in Sky. Before we get into the talk, let's check if the tech side is okay. Let us know if the video is playing good, the sound is playing good in the chat room.
Yeah, can you hear us? Is
Hello,
our voice
hello.
working or not? Like, let us know if you can hear us or.
Hello, yeah, we are
Hello.
looking at the chat.
Yeah, we're actually reading your comments, so
Yeah.
just let us
Yes, I
know.
can.
Because it seems sounds good.
Yeah,
Great.
okay.
So far, so good. Perfect.
All right, let's start then.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Korea Community Manager Jiu Song, and here we have two JP Community Managers, Kie and Miren. Yay! How are you doing, Kie?
Okay, I just arrived here this morning,
Yeah.
so and I woke up like 4 a.m. So
Wow.
bit sleepy right now, but excited and nervous. Like I have mixed feeling, but having fun right now.
I think
must have
everybody has this same feeling, like excited but a little bit nervous and
Yeah.
mixed feeling.
Yeah, I'm nervous about my English. If
Yeah.
this is fine enough, you understand.
Yeah, speaking of English, all of us, our first language is not English.
Yeah.
And this is my first time hosting a live stream in a global channel, so any kind of feedback would be appreciated in the comments. So thank you for your patience in advance.
Thank you.
Okay, talking about ourselves, we will start this stream with a brief introduction to us, about us, and about the live stream.
Okay.
The localization
Oh,
stream.
sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, let's get straight into the questions that we prepared. How did we become community manager at TGC? Yeah, that's an interesting question because maybe some people are curious to know. Kie, what's your answer?
Okay, so before I become community manager at TGC, I never expected myself to be in the game industry at all. It's like I used to work at the university, and actually my kid got sick, and then I started searching job like I can work from home all the time and stay with her. Then also I really want to keep using my English. Keep some like if you don't use it, you just keep forgetting it, right?
Yes. Yes.
I know you can do it. So then that time actually Sky started, and I played on the first day of the birthdays, and a few weeks later, I saw Japanese accounts saying like they're hiring some stuff in Japan. So I didn't expect they got me, but I just sent my application anyways, and then they called me to meet them at TGS.
Oh, in this show?
Yeah, in 3 years ago.
Wow.
So that was my first time ever met Jennifer and Ritz, and I had an interview in here. And
Directly in the
yeah,
event.
yeah.
Wow.
Now here I am.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
So yeah, it's
I
still
know.
I don't know, it's a bit nostalgic to me to come here.
Yeah, this should be a meaningful event for you.
Yeah.
So interesting.
How about you, Miren? How did you do in TGC?
Well, actually, I have been working in the gaming industry as customer support or community manager for about 7-8 years. But in the past, I was more and more certain that I wanted to work in this industry because I love it. I purely enjoy this community manager role. So yeah, I wanted to stay in this industry. And then I met Sky and TGC, and they're just so different from other companies. And maybe you guys know better than me, but especially for me, it was first time in my life that I got emotional, or like maybe the game touched my heart, and there was a point that I almost cried in the game. And this was the first experience for me playing a game, so it was in a good way shocking. And more and more I know about Sky, and more I know about TGC, I just wanted to join, and my interest got. I got more interest to it, and then I applied to community manager position in 2021 January, and I started work remotely as community manager.
From Spain, right?
Yeah, exactly from Spain. Yes. So
Yeah,
it's
we'll
been.
talk about Miran speaking like multiple languages and how other staff in TGC are speaking like more than two languages in the later comments. But yeah, Miran is speaking Japanese and Spanish,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
is
thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
you?
we're reading the comments.
Yeah, that's so
and
sweet.
you guys are so sweet.
Yeah.
I saw some
Aw.
comments. Kie, have a nice sleep.
And they
Thank
say like our
you.
English is good, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're
Thank
trying our
you.
best. For me,
How about you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a student and a big fan of Sky when I joined the TGC in 2020.
Yeah,
Like October, I guess. Because it was before Halloween, because I got Halloween as a welcome gift to Halloween cosmetics as a welcome
Oh,
gift to
so
TGC.
you came 1 year after me? I thought I've been like working with you whole 3 years.
This was my third year, which means I just passed my second year.
Oh.
Yeah. So here I am.
Huh.
I think they were looking for a part-time job for the simple localizations and the market research. And the best part of the hiring recruitment I saw was they have a job interview. So I was already a fan of Sky. That means having a job interview that means that I have a meeting with the devs of my favorite game. So
Yeah,
True,
same. Exactly.
so it could be a good chance for me in terms of like career and as a gamer. So yeah, I applied for the position and here I am. Now I'm in charge of not only the localization but also the like social media stuff and the live streams. So kind of
So
I grew
you
up.
so you ladies are veteran players as well.
Veteran player depends on how you
Say that,
define it.
yeah.
I played
Okay.
since Light Seeker.
Okay.
Yeah, because like I honestly play inside the water and looking at the water surface and not doing too much counter run or anything. So.
That's what
Okay.
every like old players do.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next question, which is, what do you think is the most important ability to become a localizer? That maybe we have some common opinions.
Yeah.
Well, would you start, Kie?
Okay, so I don't know if you like. I hope like anyone watching this are interested in actually do the translator or localization, but like for me, the most important thing is like comprehension and the knowledge of vocabulary of Japanese, not the English. Like how good you are to English is not really the main part of doing localization or creating like the words specifically fits for your community, I think. And also like love of the content, like you have to love it to understand and share it.
Yeah. I completely agree with Kia. And if you love something, you naturally want to know more. So the knowledge is you can have like a deep knowledge about it, and this passion or love or interest will make the text more profound, in my opinion.
What is localizer? I found an interesting comment asking what is localizer. We will soon talk about the difference between the translation and localization. So coming soon.
Yeah. So someone who's doing localization is localizer.
Simple answer.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's. I agree with Kie. Like the top priority is vocabulary, but I think tenacity can be another important factor because you have to go over your works like several times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more review your work, the better results you'll get.
Yes.
So being persistent is definitely one point.
Of course, yeah.
I
That's
agree,
so true.
agree. We do this every day, no?
Yeah.
Like check again, again.
Okay, next question, which is the translation versus localization. Are you here? The one who questions Moonflower, are you here? So the translation versus localization, those two concepts are definitely different. Miren, would you want to elaborate?
Well, in the past, I reviewed like game translation time to time, and many times it was accurate translation, but literal translation. So it was correct, but I had to change it everything to maintain that game's view of world or to respect the culture and background. Uh, so yeah, that means that when you localize, you can also be super creative.
Yeah,
That is fun
that's
part.
true too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
What about you? Do you?
I think the localization. I agree that the localization has like some more room of creativeness. Um, you that means you have also have a lot of things to consider when
Yes.
you do things.
Yeah.
For example, I think language background is important, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, one example I want to bring is Sky Kid's voice. So in English, social media stuff and strings in-game string actually, we call Sky Kid's voice as honking. And honking in English usually means the car honking, bom bom
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. Like some sounds, making noise or whatever it is.
Yeah, making noise, which is like somewhat funny that you can easily associate to like comical situation. But in Korea, honking is quite a rude behavior to do in the road, and which the onomatopoeia of the sound of honking in Korea is bang bang, and immediately you hear that, you associate this with like uncomfortable situation, and associating honking Sky Kid's voice to an uncomfortable situation was not we actually wanted to intend.
Yeah.
So instead, I like transliterated. I took the sound effect from the Sky Kid's default voice directly and translated it to ping ping. I localized it to
That's
ping
so
ping.
cute.
Ping ping.
Ping, ping, yeah.
So I changed it from pang pang to ping ping. If you can
Like
distinguish
That is
it.
so
in
cute.
Japanese, people have so many different ways to describe Sky Kid's voice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Like pwa 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 ma.
Wait, so they don't have like common honking? They like they're like all
Pwe
different.
pwa
Play.
pwa.
I like play.
Yeah,
I
there's
love
like
it. I love
five,
it.
10 like common ones. So
You know what? Let's do this. Miren, you honk in English, honk.
Honk.
I do in Korean honking,
Honk.
and you do in Japanese honking.
Okay, okay.
Let's go. Ping,
Honk.
ping,
Pwa
ping,
pwe.
ping.
Is this okay? You guys following us?
That's so fun.
Anyway, yeah,
Okay.
that's how text localization and translation is different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's move on to the next question. Perfect harmony, thank you.
Honk, honk.
Question number 4. Have you ever translated other texts? I think it's somewhat related to our previous jobs. Yeah, would you wanna go first?
Yeah, so I told you I was working at a university, and especially I was working at psychiatry department. So
Oh.
I had to translate like psychology, psychiatry skills
Wow.
sometimes, but it has to be really accurate literal translation because you have to back translation to keep it like reliability of the test or skills. So it was completely different things I do right now because I couldn't use my own expression or way to
Yeah.
express things.
Yeah.
Instead, I have to be very accurate with what they are saying,
Yeah.
but using like bunch of medical terms.
Because
Yeah, Sky doesn't have medical
yeah.
terms.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you imagine if you put like decorate the text with more expression with the medical text, the back translation will be like completely
Yeah, yeah.
different text. It's
And
like
it's like skill like test result gonna be so much like mess, and then I could destroy everything. So yeah, it was difficult, but it was fun though. Yeah, but totally
Background
different.
knowledge, back translation means if you have a source text and you translate this text
Yeah,
to
yeah.
a target text, and then to show that your client that you deliver like the clear meaning in the localized text, you back translate it to the source text.
Yeah,
like it's
so
a test.
some other person has to do the back translation.
Yeah, so that they are transparent enough. All right, that was Kia's experience. Let's move on to Miran.
For me, I have never worked as full-time localizer or translator, but time to time I had to translate to localize a game or game text or PR text, or because of my background, because I'm half Spanish and half Japanese, so many official documents I had to translate it for my family or for me too, and that was quite difficult one, and it has to be accurate.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you guys both engaged in translating something very formal, that's very academic kind of thing. Because my localization journey started with a band subtitle to a YouTube channel. It was a channel that features like animals, insects, and plants. So it taught me a lot about biological terms.
So you keep helping some fans out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I majorly did. Yeah, thank you for covering the nice. it's it's it was a fun job, and we still have a lot of video localizations in Sky Team too. So I say that helped. Although Sky doesn't have a lot of biological terms.
It's so interesting how different
I know.
we have the kind of like a same experience, translation or localization, but it's totally different
Background
area background. So it's really interesting.
Okay, moving on. Next question.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
How is Sky different from other games in terms of localization? That's an interesting question because as players, you might feel that Sky is different from other games, but in terms of specifically localization, we also feel strong that, well, this game is somewhat different. Well, starting from me, Sky is a game for everyone. So regardless of your age or your educational achievement, I pursue that you should be able to understand the game strings directly and intuitively. So I try to use like easy words and the sentence structure at most. Um, for me, it's helpful to read the children's book to study um, how to keep the language precise yet accurate. So I have like a series of books, the children's book in my shelf, and I haven't finished it yet. Yeah, now I remember. Anyway, yeah. How about you, Kie?
Yeah, I think your point is really important. Like, we have to show like for all the ages. And of course, I never localize any other games, but as you all know, like Sky has less in-game tickets, but it's still like a lot compared to other TGC games.
Yeah, like Journey, they do, and this one they don't have any.
It's amazing we have this much tickets in TGC games, but still, like it's quite less. So you have to like include clear explanation, but also same time you have to leave the space that players interpret the stories by themselves, whatever. So the try to find a balance of this is a bit difficult, but yeah, it's really fun, and I think it's pretty different from other games. And also we have like less NPC speaking, mostly a narrative.
True.
So it's like interesting, like how to try to show like which character or what sort of thing is talking to you right now. So once actually, I felt like some of the quest text was like NPCs lines, and I translated it as like the some spirits are speaking, and Rich realized this is narrative, so you can make it like someone speaking to you. So yeah, so it happens like a lot.
Yeah, one thing is that's difficult for localization. This is not like specific to Sky, but um, when we localize things, we got a whole like Excel sheet
Yeah.
without without able to match like where the text goes into. Like as Kia said, we don't know if it's from NPC, we don't know if it's from a narrator, so we have to guess
Yeah.
or communicate with the developers to see where does it go into, kind of things. So yeah, that's one thing that might be interesting for the
Yeah,
community.
it is definitely interesting.
Okay, so far we've introduced ourselves, introduced the localization is Sky in general, and let's get into a little bit deeper category, which is how's the Sky's in-game string localization? And the first question is, how's Japanese and Korean localization process different? Yeah, those two processes are different. To be specific, Japanese process is special. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, actually, like, Japanese is the right now only language in the TCC. We localize everything by ourselves.
Yes.
So it means I'm the one who's doing in-text localization alone. So I'm kind of like localing team.
So TGC, Japanese localization team, equal Kia.
Yeah.
Who's in your team? Nobody.
I'm
Me
the team.
and me, yeah. So like for the in-game text, I get like maybe a week or 2 weeks prior to patch log, not the release, but we have to log patch next patch inside our system. So I get strings. So it just has like keywords and actual text in English. That's it. So I start translating everything from there and localizing, adjust to the Japanese community and or adjust to the game, and then get reviewed by Ritsu or maybe other Japanese team member if Ritsu is too busy. And then polishing it and finalizing it and then submit to the production team.
Yeah, so to sum up, Japanese team, which is equal to Kie, she pretty much does everything from the beginning in terms of localization process, beginning to the very end of the process, and she gives the final review to the other members of the team who speaks native Japanese. For Korean, I we like for all other languages we outsource the localizations to the third agencies. So we send our English strings to the agency, and we get they resend their reply with their submissions, and then I get to I get the chance to review that, to adjust if the names are consistent, if the tone is appropriate, if the text matches the visuals, the screen. Then I submit it to Rudy, who is our producer in the developer team, and that get into the village. We have both Korean Japanese team for sure, but the size of the team is different.
Yeah.
So Japanese team digest more tasks than Korean team. So that's why Japanese translation process is special.
But I think in both cases, many times you guys have to play a lot as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Well, that's something positive for localization because in localization the consistency is important.
Yes.
So if you get to translate, hey Miran, please translate the first half of the string, and you translate the later half of the string, do you think it's ever working?
It's you can. I mean, for social post copy, even that one, many times I wanna play it, like check it again, to catch the feeling or catch the more knowledge or to confirm things inside the game. No? So imagine the tiny social text. I have to do that, and then you guys have to do like tons of
Yeah. And
in-game text.
also for the like new contents, I have to understand what's coming, and also playing like flyer. So I haven't say on my social, but I play beta a lot actually.
It's kind of researcher, no?
Yeah.
The research, you have to research for many things.
Yeah, we're looking at the chat, and interestingly, our stream was so funny that somebody lost their way while playing
What?
Sky. They fell to OOB. They fell to OOB while watching our stream. I'm so sorry for them.
I'm sorry.
Hope you get back to the home.
Good.
Okay, moving on to the next. How long do we spend on the localization, I guess? Here?
It really depends. You know, like I think players know, like each season has like different volume of text, right?
Yes. Yes.
So it really depends on like season or new contents have how much text in it. Also like how much time I'm allowed to use.
Yeah.
Sometimes devs keep changing text like until the really last minute, so we have to like change in one day or something. It happens, so it really depends like how much. And also like if we are doing like maybe patch note or hot weeks, there's like totally different
I know.
story.
True.
Like
true.
for patch note, we have some time beforehand, maybe a week to start checking like all the bugs and then translating stuff. But if it comes to hot fix or like social post, it
Hot,
comes
it's
like
hot.
the day. So you have to like sometimes we have to localize in 30 minutes.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes like I wake up in the Korean time and the hotfix is out and they're like, hey, it's you. Can you localize this in 30
Yeah,
minutes?
yeah, yeah. Like
It's hilarious.
right now, it's getting much better, but used to, like, I have to translate entire patch note when I woke up in 1 hour
Oh my
and
god.
Lisp.
Oh my god. That is hard.
I keep bugging Liz on the Slack. Do you think it's this really okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the localization it's needed now for like especially Japan team because Japan has its own branch. It's necessary for not only to communicate with the players but also to communicate internally. So the
Yeah.
localization team's importance is growing, I guess.
I agree.
For me, yeah, I pretty much agree with Kie. The thing is, Kie has like her 1 full week to translate her own things, and I have to have one exchange with the agency. So like the external agency spends like 5 days among 1 week, and like 2 days to give the final review, and I think it's over. And the hot
Sorry,
fix
I
obviously.
wanted to ask you, like, how's the external, like, how much you actually polish all the, like, every time?
That's an interesting
Ah.
question.
Yeah, I'm not sure how like other languages
Mhm.
are doing, but for Korean, like I edit the most in terms of number. I edit most of the strings, like to sometimes I remove the period, I keep the period.
And, like, some tabs or
I know, yeah, and cut the sentence, like I give the line break kind of things. But in general, the overall quality of the localization, initial draft of the localization is appropriate. It makes sense.
Oh, great.
And then I add some like sky atmosphere to that and give some consistency in terms of names and tones. And yeah, that's all. I think although I generally have like 2 days, I spend a half day to work on that, and that's pretty much enough.
I see.
Okay,
Okay.
let's move on to the next question, which is, what are some major points to consider for in-game texts? Okay, so it's what we keep in mind when we translate like in-game text. Kie, how do you think?
Like, for me, I usually mostly care about the world view or culture of Sky, which
Yeah.
I believe, like, our Japanese community respect the most.
Yeah.
So I want to respect that too. Yeah, and also like not to use like too much difficult kanjis because many school students are playing it. At also same time, we are using like special fonts, which doesn't have like lots of
That's
kanji
true.
actually.
Oh, so there's a font that doesn't accommodate certain kanji.
Yeah. So
Ah.
actually, whenever I came up with some kanji could be like not common uses, I check with the fonts to see like if it exists.
Ah, interesting. Okay.
And also, I usually keep trying like changing writing style depends on what kind of context is in it. Like, for example, like last time season performance,
Yeah.
there's like script press, right?
Yes.
So I specifically make it like all the stories. Or even like poetry stuff. So yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the seasonal performance one, that was tough because
Yeah.
among seasonal quests there was a part where uh, the the script lines changes depends on the player's choice,
Yeah.
and yeah,
That was first thing
Yeah,
in Gay Sky,
you know,
and it was interesting.
Yeah, and also like in the English, like the grammar is okay, like using at or in the middle.
sentence structure.
Yeah. But we
Line
can't
break.
change the order, so I have to make up some other stuff to make it like proper sentence in Japanese
I know.
to have that order.
Yeah, it was a challenge.
It was challenging.
The most like striking part is that um, when we first get the list of the lines we have to localize, we have no idea what's going on in that. So we saw a set of sentences which are like we think exactly similar, and we had no idea that the structure of the stories it will be how it's like will be played in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a tough challenge, but ultimately I like the results that we got.
Oh, and also like in game text, I mean it's including like message of the day thing or like coming back stuff. Like
Yes.
I have to always care about time differences.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Like many
Yeah.
of our English texts say tomorrow or today, tonight.
I understand
It's
it.
not tonight. It's not tomorrow. It's not today. So
Yes.
so I use like some tricky like next reset time of Monday or whatever.
You're really thank you. I
Yes.
didn't know
Yes.
that.
Yes.
To make it like understandable for Japanese players
Yeah.
who spring from Japan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's something that happens to social posts as well.
Yeah.
For the social images of how we write the social posts, like time difference is quite tricky, especially when summertime changes.
I know.
When start and when summertime starts or end, that is like
Face.
Are we allowed to make this face in live stream? I don't know, but this is what I do during our like intermittent meetings in TGS. So bear with me.
Yeah, so especially because I work from Spain, like I calculated from PDT to CET to PDT and then JST, and yeah, I have to calculate 3 times or two.
Yeah, and we also communicate like two timelines. So
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
we like miscalculate and then people are like doing 1 hour earlier or 1 hour later.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is Spain, TA, and I share the time zone, and like there's a US team. Yeah, so it's a mess. But we are working this way.
Yeah,
We're doing
yeah.
it.
Yeah, you're doing it.
Hey, I hope it works. And how about you, Uju?
Ah, me?
Yeah,
Well,
what's your point like you care about?
being concise, being intuitive in terms of understanding. So I always think like if you see the text, you should be able to understand immediately what should do next. Especially like daily quests,
Yeah.
the text appear and then it disappears. So people need to understand it very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially like seasonal quests should be concise because that is the major part of the season. Some exception can be that original string is intentionally being uncertain or mysterious.
Yeah.
For example, for Season of Enchantment,
Okay, it was
we
really
had
dark.
a lot of seasonal quest strings intentionally being like mysterious. I preserve that uncertainty in the localization, and yeah, the players are now the old players are quite adapted to it. But I still wonder if how I could improve that localization. That's also my ongoing task for the upcoming and the future seasons. All right.
Okay.
Let's
Moving
move
on to the
on.
next question. Until now, we talked about the localization of the in-string, in-game strings, and now we will talk about some social media stuff. So, the first question for the social media is, how do we run social media channels in regions? Kia, do you want to start?
Yeah, like I think many of you notice like we are actually posting the same stuff in just three different languages.
Yes.
So like whenever a new event's coming, we all like community team come together and we brainstorm together and come up with some contents, right?
Yes.
And then English global team, especially like Sam, he's like lead our like our boss.
Global community
Yeah.
manager, yes.
And we have like wordsmith Dennis. Like she writes blogs and then many like here or poetry style things in games. So after we came up those uh, ideas, then they start scribing in English, and then they pass it to us. Then we translate, localize, and post at the same time together. So
Yes, 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 yes.
Sometimes we also have like regional specific
Yeah.
posts that comes from like each community manager. I cannot think of like special ones for now. I remember that Hara, who is another Korea community manager, came up with the idea of the daily schedule one social media asset, the round one filled with the what to do during the days of light event.
That
like,
was cute.
Yeah,
Yes,
it was. It was
yeah.
full of illustrations and text and like sleeping,
cute.
having fishing. You can actually check that post on our live social media accounts, Twitter and Instagram, whatever language you're speaking. So yeah.
And
please
actually,
check it out.
Hala wrote Japanese for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah,
directly?
in the schedule.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, it was
oh.
handwriting. I didn't know that.
That was so sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So that's the way we are working on for the localization. Yeah, I think we're done. Moving on to the next question. What are some major points to consider for social media ethics? So similar question as the very previous one for specifically for social media ethics. Do you have anything to say, Kia?
Yeah, like right now I already gave like leave most of work for social media to Milan. I introduced her, so I don't do much translation for the social media. But I used when I was used to doing it, I was set my mind like I'm adult spirit talking to a bunch of sky kids. So being polite but not too much formal, but not too much casual
Yes.
and being friendly.
Yeah.
The kind of so like many of English words are really casual, like you're just talking with long time friends. But like Japanese community accounts have like good distance with fans, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And adding to that, I also like try to sound soft many times. So I intentionally, instead of using kanji, I intentionally use it to hiragana because it's more like rounded letters.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's one of Japanese characters.
yes, yes, and always, I mean, many times double check with Kia or Ritsu saying like, what do you think? How does it sound? Or is it okay? Or and we review, and maybe sometimes it's just only one line or two, but it's not like 5 or 10 minutes work. It's like you elaborate
it
it,
took
and
a lot.
yeah,
actually.
it takes a lot.
Yeah, you guys talked about tone and voice and the vocabulary, all the things. So I'll
Yes.
skip that part.
Yeah.
My
I think she was
concerning
calculating
point.
the time, I think.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
have
sorry,
another
we-
export.
Yeah,
import,
we
important
talk too
point.
much.
I
Right?
know because this live stream we are here to communicate with fans. Look, we have tons of chats. Everyone is so nice. Thank you, Monster
Thank you.
Potato.
Yeah, and thank you for sending blue heart.
Ah,
Thank you.
Does blue heart mean like sky, or because we're wearing blue sky?
Yeah, I think maybe love for sky. I think.
If there are something like 3 blue hearts, that might mean like 3 of us.
Aw.
Sweet. I am having trouble picking right emojis for the social media things. I never knew there are so many emojis in the, in the keyboard.
Yeah.
And Kie is an expert in choosing what emojis to like put in each post. I am not, so I usually copy hers. Yeah, I always end up like, if I am to choose one, I just go safe with the smiley face, heart face, and
It's just
excited
like
face.
Japanese nature. We invented emojis.
Yeah.
Emoji
Yeah.
is not English. Like, eh is picture in Japanese, and emoji is letter or character in Japanese. So it's not coming from emotion or emo. So it's actually Japanese, and
Yeah.
we do have a conversation just only with emoji.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's a cultural thing, maybe.
Yeah. So it's culture stuff. So Milan's
Yeah.
expert and the Japanese players are expert too. You can ask them to pick one.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, guys. I will keep stealing your emojis. Moving on to the topic of Japanese and Korean names.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When localizing the name of season, what are some major points to consider? Kie, what do you think?
Like naming seasons is always the hardest one because it has to have like meaning of the word itself, of like original words, but at the same time we have to put some sort of like feelings of the season itself. And many of Japanese words doesn't exactly mean or have nuance of the English word.
I know.
Yeah, and like Jiu and I often like DM each other when we have like different one. Did you want to decide something? No. And we just list up like bunch of options.
Uh-huh.
I usually like make 20 or 30
Yeah.
possibilities of like names and then add all the reasons and leave it to Milan and the rest to review it.
It's quite fun.
Yeah.
I really like it.
And it's just we keep discussing like which is the best for the this season. Yeah. So it's really hard, but yeah, I always have to try to put the feelings of the season, but same time it should be easier to use in social network because we have to put tag all the time.
Yes, yes.
And I want to make it a bit shorter. I try. I try making shorter because Japanese language has like 140 letters limitation in Twitter. So yeah, there's like many like fragments I have to care
Yeah.
about when I name it.
How about you, Jibu?
Well, it's it's somewhat similar to what Kia said. The Korean words doesn't have the exact, counterparts as English one does. Um, the more difficult ones are like when it's having a abstract or ambiguous expressions.
Yeah.
For example, season of assembly. Let's say assembly means gathering in terms of organization and team. But Korean word, I tried to find the Korean word that exactly corresponds with that meaning, but I couldn't find it. So, or I didn't like it, the nuance of that.
Yeah, same.
So I ended up like pulling the most important elements of the season instead of using direct translation, which was for season of assembly cooperation. So for Korean version, the season of assembly became 협력의 season, which means season of cooperation.
Actually, Japanese would get longer.
We have a follow-up question on that. Keep posted.
Yeah, I ended up naming it 大樹に集う季節. It-
もう一度?
大樹に集う季節. It literally translated as like season of gathering around a huge tree.
Wait, where does huge tree come from?
Tree house.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a very creative localization. Anyway, yeah, so. You have any other comments about your huge tree gathering? That's
Like,
actually very cute.
the assembly is so hard to find the like, exact word because the literal translation is like you are doing some meeting in the business or whatever.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
like in this specific season, we didn't mean to describe a business meeting.
And also like TGT wanted to like depth more to uh, having like meaning of like picking small things from many places
Yeah,
and
true,
put
true.
together.
I remember. Yeah. And I also remember that you wanted to make it more playful
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, being playful became this name.
I see. Another one I got from when localizing was seasonal shattering. Shattering is a like ing form of the verb shatter.
Uh-huh.
And if you when you make like convert in Korean, when you convert verb into a noun by using like ing form or whatever, it looks very ugly. So I gave up the direct
Understand, yeah.
translation either in this case and replaced it with the most conspicuous element again in the season, which was shard. So in Korean, it is papyeone season, which is
Again,
season
again?
of shard. It is papyeone season.
Papyeone?
papyeone.
Papyeone.
はい。
Papyeone.
의가 no. This is of.
Oh.
So it's 협력의 season, 협력의 season, and papyeone season, papyeon의 season.
Oh.
It's the structure of that.
Interesting.
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah, I think uh, seasonal shattering was not the toughest one. The toughest one was the seasonal assembly.
Yeah.
The seasonal shattering is obviously the one that I came up with the most candidates options.
And yeah, at that time we also DM'd again, right?
I remember.
And actually, like Japanese one ended up making us kudakeru yami no kisetsu, which means like season of shattering darkness. So I added some elements to it, and it make it sound a bit. I don't know how to say the word in English, but have you ever had chunibyo?
So, I know what it is, but I need some background
Yeah,
explanation for the community.
I can. So you go for it. And also, like this time, I intentionally used the katakana instead of hiragana. Hiragana has like some softness, but katakana is usually used for the borrowed word and have like some hard or something different. So I wanted to tell players, this season is special.
I know, like the badass feeling, you know.
Yeah.
That could be one issue. Well, speaking of that, why? We moved on to the next
Yes,
one.
I think we will answer to this one, maybe
Ah,
the second one as well.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
long enough. Well,
The easiest season.
and the season of
Which season was
uh-huh.
the easiest?
Yeah, the season was the most difficult. Yeah, which season was easiest? For me, it was season of light. It was pretty straightforward. The name of the season, the name of the spirits, the name of the area was good. Season of Beast took a short time too, but I had to like undergo the process of matching what text goes into what scene. So yeah, that was something. Kie?
Well, it depends like how to define easy.
Uh-huh.
But like maybe for me it was like season of sanctuary because the season itself was whole vacation, summertime vacation. So
Yes.
I kind of feel relaxed myself to translate things. All NPCs were like.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was fun.
Right. Quickly moving on to the next one. When our order maybe got.
Oh god, yeah. I think it got mixed bit, but
But
yeah.
Yeah.
can we quickly answer to this question?
Okay,
This
yeah.
was a joke question. Why is JP name getting longer and longer, Kie?
I told you I try make it shorter, and also see like if it's like aligned with English, it's actually shorter than Japanese when it's shorter. Well, yeah. Again, like we can really have like one single word to translate like specific one, so I had to make it a little bit having like seasonal feelings or more how does it like nuance to it. Then just combining not only nouns but using verbs to make it showing like what kind of season is that.
Yeah, I think the titles is more kind of like how do you say, like emotional,
Yeah,
maybe?
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially season belonging is really emotional name.
I really love that name. It's my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
思いはみ季節 is like weaving or knitting feelings is what I say. So
Yeah, it was one of the most emotional seasons in Sky. Okay, next question is when localizing glossaries, which is like the terminologies in Sky, what do you take into account? My answer is consistency and readability. Obviously, consistency, you cannot say like in this season you say something in this way,
Yeah.
and in next season you say in a different way. That cannot happen. Um, but the thing is, when variation of the previous name comes in, like for example, season of assembly, I I previously mentioned that I translated it to localize it to season of cooperation, and that name inspired the Sky's in-person event, which is Sky Assembly. And I came to think like, okay, I intentionally dropped off the word assembly, which means gathering. So what should I do? And finally, I settled in with the days of cooperation for the in-person event name,
I
as if
see.
it's like it's one of the in-game events in Sky, like days of love, days of
Yeah.
sunlight, like
Yeah,
things.
same, like being consistent. And also, we have to like think about maybe future they will use like similar words
Yeah,
in different
yeah.
English,
Uh-huh.
but this is same as Japanese could be. So yeah,
But
it's very hard to pick one. But
some-
yeah, we have to be consistent, and also we have to like respect Sky culture again. So sometimes I want to use like some like Japanese culture specific words, or maybe like connect to some religious words, but I have no idea if that exists in Sky's history. So I give up using those words and then try to make like find general one.
Ah,
there's so many points that you have to consider
yeah.
while doing localization, right?
Okay, next question is, how do you shape the tone of voice in narration? I think he already mentioned that
Yeah.
she is talk as if she's an adult spirit in Skyward speaking to Sky Kid. Adding to that, I kind of use I try to use a gender neutral endings to avoid like assuming, oh, the narrator should be female or male,
Yeah.
or the third gender. And I promote easy words like any kid could understand it. Another important thing is that I avoid the loan words, which is the translation
Yeah.
of the English words. For example, during the season of enchantment, there was a script that says, "Go get the orange light from the like hidden forest."
Yeah.
And the loan word, the word, the color orange is orange in Korean. But I
Same.
used to orange ですね. I try to avoid it and use like Korean local terms so that anybody could understand it. This is not like particularly limited to the colors, but we have a lot of loan words and that possibly could be a loan words in Sky. But mostly I try to use the Korean local terms.
Yeah, I'm like, I think we are almost doing same stuff. So yeah,
we're
our
playing the
opinions,
same
yeah.
game basically. But speaking of the different regions, we have some questions about the community glossary as well. Um, how's Korean and Japanese spirit, starting from spirit, community spirit different in terms of glossaries? Um, Kie, would you like to elaborate?
Yeah, actually, like this is not only for Sky, but Japanese people make everything abbreviated in
Yes,
three
yeah.
or four sounds word to call anything. So, for example, player could season first like Adopasu or Zinpasu, Shipasu.
Shipasu?
Yeah.
Shipasu.
And
Season pass.
yeah, Shipasu
Adopasu.
or Zinpasu.
Zunpasu.
Yeah. And it's like season candle
Uh-huh.
is
Shika.
Shika. And message
That's
board.
awesome.
Message board is messable.
Visible.
So there has to be three or four sounds only.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting point.
It's much quicker when you type it.
Right. Um, Korean community prefers like intuitive localization, intuitive expressions. Like for example, the candle pile. It's it's a Korean word for 무더기 양초. Candle pile is the counterpart of the treasure candle. So immediately you can think of the image of candle piled together from the word candle pile. That's the way how the Korean community usually talk about the non-named objects in Skygame. Alright. And here are some fan glossaries we found funny.
This is fun.
The first one. This is supposed to be a candle run, but I couldn't find like the matching image. So English word candle run, which means collecting the wax and candles from the skyward. How do you say that in Japanese?
Camera.
Camera.
So it has to be candle marathon, but it has to be four sounds, so it ends up camera.
Camera.
Yeah, that's short enough. That's very efficient.
How about in Korean?
It's yangjak in
Yangjak?
Korean.
It's short.
It's
Yangjak?
short, but the reason it's short is we cannot lengthen it. So it's yang, which means candle, and tak, which means farming. So it's already it's already a full word.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So nice.
Candle farming. Aw.
Yeah, so as soon as like you hear the word, you can get, oh, you are collecting candles, but how? Then you move on to the next question.
Interesting.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
moving
yeah.
on to the next one, the mod, the
Mod.
one in the default book, the probably newbie players. How do you call that in Japanese?
Do you want to say it again together?
It doesn't really matter.
せーの。スズ
スズ
メ。
メ
And what does that mean?
Suzume is a sparrow.
Sparrow.
So like Japanese players think the cape color as similar to bird, sparrow, instead of moth.
Yeah, mod in general doesn't have very positive reputation in Asian countries.
Yeah.
Suzume on the other hand, the sparrows on the other hand have like cute appearance.
Yeah,
kind of
and the
thing.
color is same.
I know.
And we actually call sometimes like someone's new to something as a little bird or something. So it really fits the meaning.
Oh, little
of the
bird.
newbies, yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Little bird.
Well, Korea also has the same terminology, 참새, which means sparrow. 참새.
참새.
참새. Yes.
참새.
Yeah, it
Sounds
has,
like chapche.
Okay. So until now, we had some discussion about the localization, and we are now have to say goodbye to the community with this last question in this
Okay.
game. What is your favorite line of localization until so far?
I like everything. I'm gonna answer this first. I like everything, and I always love to see the finalized version of when Kie prepared the options. No, I love it. No.
That's too good answer. Mine would be Days of Bloom. 하나의 희비. I translated using like Japanese ancient word hanaem. It right as flower, smiles. And it means actually both like flower blooms, also like smile beautiful as a flower is blooming. So it sounds cute and what looks itself cute, and also it's cute when it comes to the item.
Yes. Love it.
Yeah.
How
I really
about you?
Yeah, me, it's the ascended candle. For Korean, we didn't like have a direct translation to from ascended candle to the Korean. Instead, I use the term sky candle to give the impression that it's a valuable currency in sky. But at the same time, I didn't want to spoil that it's somehow related to Eden or orbit. So
I see.
sky candle was my favorite line that I think I managed to do a good job in terms of that. Okay, so here we are.
Right,
We
here
are
we
are.
done with the localization thing.
Yeah,
well,
we could keep talking.
Yeah, we can.
I didn't know
Go
time
on.
has this much.
Yeah,
The time
yeah.
flies.
I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, it was fun.
Do we have any last comment to the community before we end the stream?
Well, thank you for coming today, and thank you for having me like those two like fabulous host. Like I'm so happy to
Yeah.
actually doing global live stream with this show. Like it's really amazing for us.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
we couldn't imagine them. I couldn't imagine 3 years ago when I joined the team. So
Yeah.
it's really amazing. And yeah, we always welcome and appreciate if you could give us feedback about translation or localization. So
Yeah.
please like send us like anything at Discord or social network, whatever you think is best.
Yeah.
And
I enjoyed it too. So thank you for joining us today. I hope that you guys enjoyed as we did. And these are amazing teams. So if you guys like it, please come to Korean and Japanese Twitter, Instagram, and leave comments because we check all comments. So yeah, thank you and thank you.
Okay, before leaving the stream, I always wanted to say this in the live stream. I also loaded it in my script. Hit the like, subscribe, and notification button, and let us know how you think of today's live stream in the comments section. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.